Hey, how you doing? My name is Nate. For those who know me and those who don't, I ask that the Lord blesses my tongue as I tell you guys this, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. This one actually has some length to it, so I'm only gonna put one thing in here because this one has some length to it. So this is January 25th, 2018. I'm at home lying in my bed with my kids. They're playing. Now the curtains fall. Now the curtains fall. We're playing a game. Now the curtains fall. People are playing a game outside, and all of the people are grown. I try to sneak and put up the curtains. I try to sneak and put the curtains back up when two white men walk up to my window. Two white men walk up to my window. One of my windows is open. One man climbs in with a bag of food. The other man is outside the window just standing there. This man and I argue about him being or playing near my window. So now I'm focused my attention on the man that came in my window. He's taking food out of a bag, stacking it on the floor about waist high and on a shelf against the wall. The other guy said something, that he climbs into my window to get the guy that's stacking food. The food guy is bagging up food because the other guy is rushing him. He stacks baby powder. He stacked powdered baby formula and other things. He packed up some of the baby formula now, and I say, "You must have a lot of children." He smiles and says, "I have 12 children, but I don't have enough money to give them or support them," or something close to that. So to my right, my children sit on the bed watching, and the food man, he stacks cans of tuna on my bed. He stacks some cans of tuna on my bed. My kids pick up some molded food, but we don't eat it. They don't eat it. He gives us a white trash bag with beautiful sandwiches in it. I pull the sandwiches out of the bag and hand them to my children. This last one is for me. So I have one. So the one I have, it may be turkey, but I know it's large slices of turkey, almost as if it's a full ham that was cut all the way around. So I look at the window. So I walk to my window and I watch both men climb out and leave. I climb out afterwards to follow them. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Now, the reason why he was bringing the food in is because at the time I was going through some stuff and I talked to the Lord and he was telling me, "Hey, I'm bringing something for you," which he ended up giving me. I ended up getting some money, a lot of money. And the Lord blessed me with that. And then I started paying bills with the money or whatnot. And the Lord basically told me, he came to me later on, if I get to that part tonight, you'll see where the Lord came to me. He was like, "No, you supposed to put the money on this. He wanted me to eat." So that's what it was. Now, the baby formula and stuff like that, God was saying these are my children. Now, with the 12 children, the Lord was saying I have 12 children. If you look in the Bible, it talks about the 12 disciples. Okay. So those were his 12 children. James is the leader. He was supposed to be the son of God's brother. So just want you guys to know that. Okay. Now I'm watching the grown men play. They're playing hide and seek. So I watch as I stand under a tree. Now the two men are getting ready to leave. So I'm standing outside and there's grown men. They're running around. They're playing hide and seek. So I watch them as I stand under the tree, and now they're getting ready to leave. Now the Lord is saying, "Hey, they can run and they can try to hide, but I see them. I see them." Okay. So now I'm at my mom's house with my sisters and I'm talking, and I say, "I'll leave it alone if she does." So I argue with my sister. So one of my sisters want me to pray. So I do, and I tell them don't go outside. All of a sudden I have a vision. I see my boyfriend get off a bus, but I'm not sure of the color of the bus, and then the vision's gone. So the reason why the Lord came to me, you remember, you guys, I told you when I said all of a sudden or now I'm here, there's another message the Lord's trying to give. Okay, so this situation was a situation I was going through with my mom, because I'm pretty sure you guys want to know, okay, well, these are just dreams, or these are just things that you're seeing when you're awake or when you're asleep, or things like that. Because I do see both when I'm sleeping and when I'm awake. It started out when I was just asleep, but now it's kind of both off and on. So it was a situation I was going through with my mom, and I was upset, and I was praying and talking to the Lord about it. And then when I dealt with my sisters about it, I was still angry, you know. So if I wasn't asked about it, I was cool. But if my sisters came to me and they talked to me about it or they asked me about it, my anger would show. And I would realize it directly after I said something or directly after I finished talking to them. I was like, oh, I'm still mad about it. So the Lord was basically telling me, let it go. Go to Him. Pray about it. Just go to Him. He'll deal with it. He wanted me to let it go. That's what the Lord wanted me to do. Let it go. Just like it says, now I'm at my mom's house with my sisters. Now I'm at my mom's house with my sisters. They're talking. I say I'll leave it alone if if my mom does. I argue with my sister, and then my other sister tells me she wants me to pray. So I pray, and then I tell them don't go outside. I have a vision. All of a sudden, I see my boyfriend. He gets on the bus, and I'm not sure of the color of the bus, but then the vision's gone. The Lord want me to pray to Him. He want me to let it go, leave it alone. He's telling me, hey, if your mom leaves it alone, I want you to leave it alone. He wanted me to leave it alone anyway, and He wanted me to pray about it. So that's what I did. Okay, so now I'm at a park or a field. Now I'm at a park or a field, but it doesn't have the playground and the other stuff that the park has. I'm sitting on a bench, and there's another one a few feet to my left. My boyfriend and someone else sits there. My boyfriend is talking to me. He's talking and walking around. He and I are talking about religion. He said something to me about him being Muslim and maybe the food as well. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about this part. Now, the reason why the Lord showed me this, came to me and was talking to me about religion and food or whatever, because I wanted to know. Because there's so many daggone religions out here, and people don't realize that a religion is nothing more than a way to separate the people, as well as the skin color thing. Oh, well, they're black, they're white, they're this, they're that, they're purple, they're orange, they're green, and they're yellow. And they make it seem like one color, one race is better than another. It's nothing more than a separation of the people. So there's some white people who look down on black people. There's some black people who look down on white people. You know, it's like that in all races, when everybody should be created equally. Because everybody is your brother and everybody is your sister. But people assume that because you are a different color, they're better, they're worse, they're not good enough, or whatnot. Everybody's equal. So I prayed to the Lord, and I wanted to ask Him what it was. So I asked Him. I was like, hey, I just want to know, what would you be? I mean, what are you? Would you be Muslim? Or what is your religion? And he came back and he was just like, hey, Muslim. And then we started talking about the food and stuff. Okay. So I'm not sure if he's saying he's Muslim or is close to being a Muslim. But we started talking about religion and about him being a Muslim. So, okay. So now there's a bus in front of the bench that I'm sitting on. My boyfriend and someone gets onto the bus. Now I'm about to get onto the bus, and I look at the sky, and I see the stars forming a triangle and then a circle. I lean back and I watch. I lean back and I watch, and I ask if anyone else sees it too. Then I get on the bus. So I walk to the front of the bus. So I walk from the front of the bus to the back of the bus. Back to the front of the bus. Then I get off while they talk about what I seen. So now I'm off the bus and I'm looking around. I'm looking at the sky. So I see white dots hiding behind clouds. So they look like stars, but I focus on them and they come from behind the clouds and they form a circle. So basically what the Lord is saying is, hey, they look like stars to you guys, but they're not stars. They hide behind the clouds. And when you look in the sky, they look like stars, but they're not. And they hide behind the clouds. So, okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure I get it right. Okay, so I see the moving dots hiding behind the clouds. They look like stars, and I focus on them. And they come from behind the clouds to form a circle. My boyfriend gets off the bus and says something to me. I see an eye-shaped object floating in the sky. Someone says something about the lights. Someone says something about a light that she is holding. It's a flashlight. So I tell her, shine your light against the spacecraft So I tell her to shine the light against the spacecraft. It's huge and it's white with other colors. It almost looks like a toy. So I tell her, I will come down so I tell her it'll come down if it'll come down to us. So I tell her if you shine a light, it'll come down to us. So she did, and it started to come down to us. Now I noticed when she turned the light off, it started to move away. So I said, keep the light on it so that way it'll come down and get us. So the spacecraft ends up landing, and it opens the side door. I see what looks like two small aliens that have 3 heads. I tell someone to get in, and it looks as if there's room for only maybe 1 or 2 of us. So my daughter, my boyfriend, another lady, and I get in. I asked the aliens where they taking us. So they say in a different language, and then in English, Georgia. So one of the aliens wants directions. No one knows. Now my boyfriend says, I've been there. I can give you an address. The alien gets upset, and it wants directions to Georgia and not an address. So we're riding out of the city, and the sky changes to a dark grayish color. Now, when you guys see dark grayish, it means sorrow, or like pain or something, sorrow or pain. So it turns to like a dark grayish color, as if a storm is coming, or like a smoke-filled sky. So I look to my left, and I see a man standing at the top of the stairs that almost reach to the clouds, to the sky, or maybe even in heaven. I try to see him again, and I keep looking as we pass by, but I only get a glimpse of him here and there. So I know this man is very bad, but I'm not sure why. So I tell the aliens that I have to get off and get out. I have to get off and out and get out. They keep saying that they will keep going, but now I know I'd want out. So all of a sudden now I'm rolling out of the spacecraft. I may have jumped, I'm not even sure. But my daughter and maybe my boyfriend is with me. I'm not sure. Now, okay, I'm not sure. So the stuff that I just read, if you guys break that down, it's basically telling you do's and don'ts, okay? And what to watch for. The stars look like stars, and they are not stars. They hide behind the clouds, and they come down, and they form shapes. Basically what they are spacecrafts, okay? And it's something about Georgia. I'm not sure what it is, but I guess the Lord was saying they're going to Georgia, or they're trying to go to Georgia. I'm not sure what it is, but if you shine your light in the darkness, or whatever. But in this one, the Lord was saying, hey, if you shine your light, they'll come. Shine your light. Okay? So now I'm walking around the corner, and people are standing inside and outside of buildings. The people outside are looking at something to my left, so I look too. I see 3, maybe 4 huge dogs inside of a building. These huge dogs are looking through the glass window, barking at us, loud barks. And the first thing that comes to my mind is hellhounds. So I tell the people something about the dogs, and I leave. I ask the people, have they seen my son? So I go into the second building to my left, and I go into the second building on my left. I go in, there's a lot of people there. And I ask, has anyone seen my son? Now my son and the little boy, they walk in front of me to the front of the room. My son starts to take off his shirt and maybe his hat, I'm not sure. So I walk to him, and I warn both him and the people. So the Lord was saying, hey, stand in front of the people, warn the people. Warn the people what's coming and what's to happen. Okay, now the hellhounds, hey, I know some of y'all have already noticed, because when I had the video on first, that you noticed that some animals are starting to change the way they act, the things that they do, and they're starting to attack more and more. Now, all animals are not going to do this, just some. Some of them have started thinking. That's because they're hellhounds. You'll see certain dogs or certain cats that are just growling or become violent, or they're showing signs of that right now. Those are not regular dogs. Those are not regular animals. Those are freaking hellhounds. So I just want you to know that, okay? Okay, so let's keep going. Now I'm in a room, and the lady says, I like your house. All of a sudden I'm in a room, and the lady says, I like your house. I say, it's not my house. It belongs to, and then I say the lady's name. So I walk out the room to leave, and the lady, the owner of the house, she walks out the bathroom, and she looks upset, and I get ready to leave. Now there was a message for somebody else that I knew or whatever, a lady. She was fighting to get a place to stay. She ended up getting it. When she got it or whatever, it was her house. Somebody was basically saying they thought it was mine, but it wasn't. It was hers. When she moved in, she went in the bathroom and realized that something was wrong with where she moved. So she had a situation that she had to deal with or whatnot. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep going because she wanted the house, but she wasn't sure she can get it. So once she got there, I was like, wow, I seen this, you know. And when everything started playing out, I was like, oh, I seen this. I wrote it down. She was like, you wrote it? And I was like, yeah, I got it. I wrote this down. But I hadn't talked to her, so I couldn't tell her, hey, you got it. You know, the Lord says, hey, that's yours. You already got it. But okay, so I'm gonna keep going. So now I'm in a food place. My son is sitting next to or in front of the window facing outside. He's sitting he's staring outside the window. Now my daughter might be walking around. So I look out the window to see the sky and I see the clouds. I look out the window to see the sky and the clouds begin to open and the sky turns blood red. Blood red or fire red. So I warn the people, don't go outside. Then I yell to my son, get away from the window. He does not move. He just sits there at the window and looks outside. I look out the window to see that the window. Hold on. I look out the window and see a car of vampires or something close to it pull up. They get out of the car and they walk to the window. I continue yelling at my son to get away from the window. It's almost like he's frozen in place or in a trance. I rush to him. I rush to him the same time the vampire grabs my son. Basically, he grabbed the inner being of my son or his soul. They grabbed that part of my son and they grabbed it through the window. It's almost like the vampire reached his hand through the window and grabbed a part of my son, like his soul or his inner being. So they grabbed that part of him and pulled it through the window. I watched my son's soul get into a car with them with no fight. It was almost like he had no fight in him, like he was under their control or something. I'm not sure how to really put that. But the soul looked exactly like my son. It was almost like my son was just walking away from him while his body form stayed here. Okay, so he gets in a car with him and they drive away. I want every part of my son, so I run to the door, but I don't go outside because I run to the door, but I don't go outside because I will let something bad inside, or I will go outside and something bad would get me and my kids will lose me. So I just stay inside. So I run to the window I run to the window to the other part of my son. Basically my son's vessel. My son's vessel came walking over to me looking very pale. His skin was very cold like ice and he was having a hard time breathing and it seemed like he was getting paler and paler by the second. So I grabbed my son by his arms trying to keep him. So I grabbed my son in my arms, trying to keep him warm as we both slowly eased down to the floor. I see the vampires didn't take all of my son. They didn't take everything that made him him or who he was, because while I was afraid for my son, he was still trying to be strong for me, like always. My son looks at me and says, it's all right. Now he's almost gone. He has no color at all. Now he stopped talking and he's gasping for air. I remembered Yahushua and his power, which is the Son of God. So I remember Yahushua and his power. So I rub my hands together, blow my breath, which is the breath of life, into my hands. I rub my hands together again and place my hands on my son's chest, his heart. I do this maybe 3 times. Each time a bright light shines through my hands and I say, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. I look at my son and he's normal now. He has all of himself back, within and without. The body and the soul is complete again. Even the soul, I have all my son back. So I hug my son in my arms as tight as I could. And I love my son so much that he's fine. And I thank the Lord and I thank them repeatedly. So basically this one was a complete warn with a blessing in it. So it was a blessing for the person that got her place, even though she was mad about the bathroom part when she moved in. It was warning about the stars not being the stars. And people thinking they're stars and not being the stars, and that they hide behind the clouds. The hellhounds, the ladder leading up to heaven. So I'm assuming it's like Jacob's ladder or something. I'm not sure, but I knew the man that was on the ladder. I felt like he was a bad man, but he might not have been, but I felt like he was a bad man. The vampires and the bad things that's in the dark is what the Lord is warning about as well. He's saying, hey, these things take your soul. The things in the dark, don't go outside, don't go outside. He keeps warning, don't go outside. Okay. These things take your soul. Not the vessel, your soul, and there's only a little bit of you left behind. So the Lord is saying, basically, you guys be careful. You guys really watching. You guys really be careful. So I'm going to go ahead and end this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to put another one out tonight or not, because I'm looking at these, and these, I'll have quite a bit to go. So I love you guys. Say your prayers. Ask for forgiveness for everything that you're going through and everything you went through. And whatever you did to somebody else or someone did to you, learn to forgive one another. Because sometimes you got to learn to forgive in order to move on. So if you live in the past will follow you. So I just want you to know that. So I'm going to label this video as warned, because there's a whole bunch of warnings in here. And a whole bunch of things you should watch out for. Alright? Love you guys.